Old wide receivers are balling out at historically high rates in fantasy football land, and it's like none of you even care. Okay, sorry. Came at you a bit harshly there, but seriously, guys, this is getting ridiculous. Right now, there are 4 wide receivers who are either already 30 years old or will be so by the end of 2023, cracking the top 12 PPR performers on a per-game basis. Overall, each of Stefon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen, and Cooper Kupp are posting top 12 numbers in PPR points per game at the moment. We also have Mike Evans and Devontae Adams in the top 16. These guys are balling out like it's 2019 all over again. But seriously, guys, we have not really seen veteran, elderly, whatever you want to call them, wide receivers do this in recent years. From 2013 to 2022, there were only 14 instances of a wide receiver aged 30 or older posting top 12 numbers at the position, and never more than 3 such instances in a single season. So yes, while we do have young ballers like Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, amongst others, making their mark on the league, we might want to start paying a little more attention to these veterans because we're starting to see a trend here. And that right there brings us to the primary topic of today's video. Can Stefon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen, and Cooper Kupp keep on keeping on and, tell Father Time to go F off for a little bit longer? Or will we see their hot starts to the 2023 season crash and burn? As always, it's a great day to be great. Let's get after it. First up, Bills wide receiver Stefon Diggs, who is enjoying awesome early season success as evidenced by career high marks in receptions per game and receiving yards per game, all the while, guys, while, continuing to rack up one great fantasy performance after another. Overall, no other wide receiver has 6 top 13 finishes to their name like Diggs has managed to accomplish over the first 7 weeks of the season. Pretty good, guys. And honestly, the fact that this is all Diggs has produced is a minor miracle for defenses because Josh Allen and Diggs have left a lot of meat on the bone over the course of their first 7 games of 2023. Looking at unrealized air yards, which is basically a fancy way of trying to establish how much fantasy-friendly opportunity did players not connect on because they were, incomplete passes here. It's the amount of yardage that a player had thrown to them that was not caught. So if you, listening to this right now, break wide open downfield for what should have been an easy 50-yard touchdown, but me, an idiot, overthrows you, then all of a sudden we're talking about 50 unrealized air yards for you. A bit more helpful than just saying you didn't catch a simple target. So with that in mind, guys, only 4 wide receivers have over 400 unrealized air yards this year, and only Chris Olave and Marquise Brown have Diggs beat at this time. Now, it's not fair to blame Josh Allen for all of that unrealized success. Diggs deserves some blame as well. He actually does lead the NFL in drops since week 1 of last season. But still, guys, man, we've seen some near misses that would have made the box score look even better than it already does. So at the end of the day, Diggs, though, has that one thing we look for above all else in fantasy land, and that is volume. Only Cooper Kupp has a higher target share through 7 weeks of action. So with Diggs averaging a career best 2.55 yards per out run, we're looking at a still great player and a still great offense receiving absolutely fantastic volume. That is the sort of combination that we should not be expecting to go anywhere anytime soon in Fantasyland. Up next, we have Chargers wide receiver Keenan Allen, currently averaging a career-high 95.7 receiving yards per game, and he's doing it with efficiency on a per route, per reception, and per target basis that is better than anything he's done in at least a half decade. So big times are here for Keenan Allen, and yes, not having Mike Williams to compete with targets for has helped to an extent, but the different types of targets that Keenan has been getting, I believe, have truly defined his 2023 season. Overall, guys, a career high 21% of Allen's targets have been thrown at least 20 yards downfield, which is a huge change from what we've seen throughout most of his career. Consider, in his 10 previous seasons, only 3 times did he crack even 10% in terms of his targets being considered deep. Honestly, the biggest issue for Allen moving forward could be just how good Justin Herbert is going to play, because it has not been pretty over the last month of action, guys. You can pick pretty much any statistic and look at how Herbert was performing during the first 3 weeks of the season compared to last month, and you're going to see a stark drop-off, particularly in just adjusted completion rate, which helps account for things like drops in addition to your regular completions and pass attempts. And guys, nobody has a lower adjusted completion rate than than Herbert over the past 4 weeks of action. That's not good, and it's not necessarily something that we should immediately expect to get better if the culprit is Justin Herbert's broken left middle finger. So not saying, that's the biggest problem here. We've also seen Herbert have to deal with the loss of Mike Williams. Additionally, the schedule has heated up against the Raiders, the Cowboys, and most recently the Chiefs. But either way, guys, at least 2 touchdowns have been missed from Herbert to Keenan Allen over the past 2 weeks, and a third huge play was left on the table against the Cowboys. These were not plays that should have been influenced by the defense or his left hand. Herbert just straight up missed them. While top 3 fantasy heights are going to be tough for Allen to maintain the rest of the way in 2023, we should feel confident in more good than bad days ahead, thanks to the reality that Keenan continues to look very much like one of the best route runners in the NFL and has a quarterback that we have seen put far more good than bad on tape over the years. Don't be surprised if these guys get back to balling out in a big way in Week 8 against the Bears defense that has posted bottom 8 marks in touchdown rate, passer rating, and contested target rate allowed. Up next, I want to talk about Panthers wide receiver Adam Thielen, currently on pace, guys, to rack up a career best 167 targets, just 1 season removed from only seeing 107 targets despite playing in 17 full games. So with Thielen, kudos to the 33-year-old veteran for getting the job done with both Bryce Young and Andy the Red Rocket Dalton under center this year, but we got to give the man a lot of credit for being more than just a volume hog. Yes, a return to the slot has helped, having that low ADOT has helped, but at the end of the day, guys, 49 catches without a drop this season places Thielen atop the leaderboard. And honestly, guys, one look at Thielen's next-gen stats route tree shows that he's been receiving all this opportunity because he is the clear-cut engine of this Panthers offense. Now, guess what? Thielen might be the engine, but the car isn't all that great. Still a bottom 10 group in EPA per play, yards per play, and points per game. I would not be overly optimistic about anybody else in this Panthers offense supplying fantasy goodness the rest of the way in 2023. But for right now, clearly they walk into every single Sunday wanting to feature their 33-year-old veteran above anyone else, and that is music to fantasy managers' ears. So I would bet on Thielen finishing closer to wide receiver 12, but then wide receiver 1 by the time things are all said and done in 2023. That said, far too much volume is on the table right now to expect an imminent drop-off in Thielen's fantasy production. Finally, guys, I want to talk about someone that you probably had to use a top 5 overall pick to draft back in August, but he's back and healthy now and doing his thing. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp, who is only the wide receiver 12 so far. Kind of a disappointment for him, but at the end of the day, 2 of his first 3 games back have yielded the sort of high-end fantasy production that managers were hoping for all season long. The only relative problem here is the fact that Puka Nacua has emerged as far more of a bigger sidekick than anything Kupp has had to deal with in recent seasons. Overall, guys, in these first 3 games together, both Nacua and Kupp have seen exactly 28 targets, and Kupp has actually only managed to outscore him by 2.4 total PPR points. Now, guess what? Both of these wide receivers have posted wide receiver 1 fantasy production, and they've both seen 35% target shares over this time, despite being in an offense that has only averaged 19 points per game. What all that means is that they're still putting up big fantasy numbers. They're still being featured with legit wide receiver 1 roles, even if there happens to be 2 of them in this offense. And oh yeah, the offense hasn't even fully caught its stride yet and enabled them with many fantasy-friendly opportunities. All that just to say, yeah, it's looking like Kupp is going to keep on keeping on here, guys. I understand the possibility that he probably won't rack up his 3rd straight overall wide receiver 1 finish in PPR points per game. That's life when you do have Nacua, again, taking equivalent volume at this point. That said, we still haven't even seen Matthew Stafford and Kupp hit their true upside ceiling together in terms of putting real big-time points on the board. So Cooper Kupp, I get it, might see him actually finish a bit more in the low-end wide receiver 1 territory than we were probably hoping for, but still very much someone you are going to be thrilled to have on those fantasy rosters for the rest of 2023 and beyond. So yeah, guys, that's that. Sorry for not being more controversial and kicking any of these old geezers off the age cliff, but at the end of the day, I think we established with each that we are truly dealing with absurd fantasy-friendly volume, with wide receivers still demonstrating elite efficiency measures in a variety of statistics, and in 3 of the 4 cases, sorry Thielen, we still have anyone's idea of top tier quarterbacks operating under center. So yeah, not exactly expecting Father Time to imminently go ahead and take away these guys' powers. We will have to watch the film and see what happens though. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Why the hell not? You know, it just helps out. But yeah, otherwise let me know in the comments other older wide receivers that have surprised you this year, and if you perhaps disagree or even agree with some of the gossip I have been preaching. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Go win that week 8 matchup, and until next time, take care everybody.